Hey, and welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina, and we are back for another show. We are almost to episode 50. We're closing in on it.
Does that mean we're at 49?
Yeah, that's almost.
Well, we have lots of fun things to talk about today. Today's going to be good. The first one is not fun, though. The first one sucks, to be quite honest. The Lycoming Bakery's done. If you're here in Lycoming County, central Pennsylvania, Lycoming County, the Lycoming Bakery's been around since 1928, and apparently last night they shut their doors. The debate now is why. The immediate thought we've seen, of course, we're getting news from Facebook because that's where everyone gets news. The immediate thought is that they couldn't get employees because there are lots of places right now that can't get employees because of the stimulus checks, because of the unemployment compensations. That, we've said this, and I know we've discussed it both on and off the air. These aspects where the politicians are like, just give the people money, and some of them really need it, some of them don't. But a lot of it, they say they're trying to help. I think they're trying to buy votes, but that's what politicians do, is they try to buy votes. But they haven't helped the world, because if places are shutting down, so now the trickle down becomes how many restaurants that are sub shops in our area lose. I mean, you can't sell subs without rolls, and the Lycoming Bakery filled all of them. Now we've heard other things that it wasn't. There are plenty of employees. They just had some managerial issues, and somebody quit that wasn't replaceable, all this stuff. So we don't know, but there are lots of places in society where the handing out of free money has hurt the real world, and maybe this is one of them. We don't know, but it could be.
So the story that we broke first on NorthcentralPa.com today, yesterday evening, Lycoming Bakery locked their doors and ceased all business operations. A lot of restaurants in the area we're finding out today. If you called, their voicemail recording said, "We are truly, truly sorry. Due to labor issues, we could not provide advance notice of this decision." Again, you can read the story at NorthcentralPa.com. We broke the story around noon today. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a tough blow. Having been around diners for a while, I mean, I would imagine the number of places in Lycoming County and around even Lock Haven, even down towards Route 80, like the number of places that rely on Lycoming Bakery, there's a lot of places right now kind of throwing their hands up saying, what are we going to do?
Oh, exactly. And again, everything's interwoven. So there's lots of, pizza shops now are probably going to do way better at lunch, because if, how many people got a sub somewhere, and those are going to be struggling. Well, I'll bet drive-throughs at fast foods are going to be longer than usual because there's fewer options. And it's one of the things at North Central that we've seen, as you said, we broke the story. We broke the shop vac story that came out whenever it was last summer. And it's like we end up getting a lot of bad news. We get to do good stories. I got to do the one on Loyal Sock winning state basketball championship. And there's plenty of good stories out there too. But you get these bad stories. You're like, we'll break it, but it sucks. And that's part of being in the news industry. But this was not a fun one to break.
No, and this one too, like this is a domino effect. Like we're going to be hearing about this as the week goes along, and it's this. There's places that have already decided to take an extended Easter because they aren't going to be able to have the bread and the things that they need. So this is going to be one of those, like, it's not going away today. Like you might show up somewhere to try to get something Thursday and you pull up and the sign just says closed. It's the domino effect on this one is, I think, a little bigger than what people may even realize.
Yes. And we don't know why. And if we did know why, it'd be a better story, but nobody knows why.
Keep coming back to NorthcentralPa.com. We're updating the story consistently, and please check back in where, we've reached out, and when we have more answers, you will too. Today's also an anniversary of a big point in WrestleMania. So you're the wrestling fan here, but even I, as a noob, as someone who's not a huge wrestling fan, even I know kind of the background and the story to this between Hulk and Andre.
Well, this is I'm embarrassed. We try to do a really good job with this, and we try to bring up important things and fun things. And this was yesterday. The actual anniversary was the 29th, and I missed it. So I feel like I should go stand in the corner because of the great days in our country's history when you've got like the signing of the Declaration, you've got the Emancipation Proclamation, we've got the man that stepped foot on the moon, and you've got when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre at WrestleMania. Like, these are like some of the great American moments. And it was yesterday, and I missed it, and I feel terrible. But it was March 29th when I think it was the first time Andre ever lost, and I think it was his last match. But Hulkster, he slammed him, dropped the leg, and that was it.
Yeah. So as a non-wrestling fan, the one person that has kind of fascinated me throughout all this is Andre the Giant. And HBO just recently put out a documentary on him this past year that is fascinating. And even if you're not a wrestling fan, it is a great documentary. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did see it. And part of the neat thing was, I guess, as the match started, one of the bits was that Andre could never get slammed. And they had contests. Big John Studd had a contest through that he was unslammable, and they kept having guys try until one day Andre showed up and slammed him. But Andre was unslammable. He was unbeatable. And like when Hulk Hogan tells this story, because the documentary was made long after Andre had passed away. When Hulk Hogan's telling the story, he's like, in the middle of the match, Andre says, "Slam me." And Hogan's like, "What?" And he's like, no, slam me.
Right.
And I'm sure part of Hulk Hogan was like, maybe I can't lift you. I don't know, you're a big dude. But so as scripted as it is and as predetermined as it is, like, I don't think that was part of it. And so, yeah, it was a fascinating documentary. When he was young, he was very athletic. He was a lot better looking. I think he had a lot of women callers over the years. He was a freak of nature. And but yeah, I think it was 37 years ago yesterday. Hulkster, and I feel, this again at the top 10 moments in American history. This is one of them.
We had talked the other day, and I forget exactly who we were talking about. I think it was someone's birthday. It was William Shatner. We had talked about people who can be characters of themselves, and Andre Giant was kind of like that. Like he was a character of himself, and that made him so lovable. And he was there was kind of like a somberness to him, like a sadness to him. And you kind of get to see some of that, but he brought so much joy to everybody that he was around. Again, if you're not a wrestling fan, if you ever thought about getting into it, I cannot encourage you enough. Go to HBO, steal somebody's subscription, and watch the Andre the Giant documentary that was just put out in the last year. He was a fascinating person and one of the nicer people that I've ever seen documented in a film.
Yeah, and you talked about the loneliness. This isn't even just even if you don't want to be in it. People talk about fame, and you see the more documentaries, you see the loneliness of fame. And because he was so big, and because wrestling is it's a traveling show, and you just think how difficult travel was for him. They talk about his incredible alcohol intake, that he drink a case of beer, and you think of how much, since he was so big, how much he would have to consume to have any effect at all.
Right.
And it was a sad, lonely life. And then of course, when you're that big, your body's not designed to be that big, and his body started breaking down, and it was tough. It was fascinating. It really was fascinating.
A really good documentary. Check it out on HBO. Now's the time that we're all waiting for. Again, in order to have a chance to win, join the Midday Show Facebook group. You are automatically entered for a chance to have your name drawn. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, and then we spin the wheel for whoever is selected. We've had sponsors throughout the month of March. We've had Buffalo Wild Wings. Again, as you're watching the games, we're getting down to the Final Four. Be sure to check out Buffalo Wild Wings. Grab some wings as you're watching the games. We've already given out 2 $25 gift cards from there. We have Palco Federal Credit Union hooking us up with some Visa gift cards. We've got Eat and Run Catering. We've got Moon and Raven. We have the Break Room also. If you're looking to blow off some steam, go check out the Break Room as well. And we have some exciting sponsors coming on next month, including a title sponsor that we are very, very excited about. And they're going to be hooking us up with some prizes as well. Anything else that I forgot, Mark?
No, I was just going to say thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings for sponsoring us this month through March Madness. And I know they've done well through March Madness, and the tournament's been fun. I know you've been busy and you've been worrying about other basketball, so but there have been enough upsets that it's been the Oral Robertses of the world that have got and almost got to the Elite Eight. But now, as we're getting later, we got a 1 and a 2 Baylor got through last night, and Houston got through last night, and Gonzaga goes tonight, and Michigan goes tonight. So after all the chaos of the early rounds, it could very well be 1, 1, 1, and 2 in the Final Four. And that's what it's supposed to be when you look at the chalk and the odds. So it has been fun, and there's more games tonight, and it's the Monday, Tuesday really makes it different. But it has to help restaurants, like not just Wild Wings, but all these sports bars around the country, that there are good basketball games on tonight.
Right. Today's winner, the random winner from our Facebook group today, is Pete Larson. Congratulations to Pete. Again, in order to have a chance to win Monday through Friday, join the Midday Show Facebook group. You're automatically entered for the month of March. And as we move forward, you'll be posted and you'll know how to continue to give yourself a chance to win. So Pete Larson, here's your NCPA prize wheel spin.
Hold on. Before you spin, can we make a stipulation from here on out that to be a winner, you have to be rooting against Gonzaga? Can we add that as a little?
I don't think it's going to help you. I think you're in trouble. I think you're in trouble with your Gonzaga stuff.
Whatever. We'll see. Whatever.
Pete Larson, today's winner. One too far for Pete.
You suck.
I've gone back. I've gotten back on the struggle bus a little bit. I have not been hitting.
You've been better.
I have not been hitting the prizes as often as I had before. Congratulations, Pete. To everyone, we'll be reaching out to you shortly. We're going to start collecting addresses. We're going to start collecting shirt sizes if you've won in the past. We've got a list and a log of everyone who's won. And as we get our shirts, we're going to start sending them out. And we're going to come up with the loser wheel here soon, especially with our new sponsors. So we're excited for that as well. This was a neat story. And then I started diving into some of the statistics, and I think I caught you off guard a little bit with it. But there's a comical story to kind of go along with it before we get into kind of the doom and gloom of it.
Yeah, let me pull it up. Somewhere it was in Europe, and I think I saved it. Maybe I didn't save it. Maybe I'm stupid. Oh no, I took a picture of it. There we go. I knew I had it here somewhere. Okay, so a group. It was in Iceland. A group of tourists spent hours Saturday night. I don't know how old the story is. Looking for a missing woman near some canyon. I can't pronounce the name because it's in Iceland. Only to find her among the search party. The group was traveling through Iceland on a tour bus, and they stopped near a volcanic canyon. Soon there was word of a missing passenger. The woman who was missing had changed her clothes. So they're like, hey, that lady who was sitting next to me in like the red raincoat and the hat, like she's not here anymore. Well, she had changed her clothes and put on something else. And everyone's like, oh my God, the lady in the red with the hat, we can't find her. We have to go searching for her. So this lady didn't even notice that they were talking about her and joined the search party. And then at 3 a.m., they were like, wait a minute. Aren't you that? Never mind. Get back on the bus. So I know this is one of the things about life, and I know we try not to stereotype, but sometimes stereotypes are accurate. Women think men are like simple and stupid. Men think women are crazy. And then you hear stories like this, and as a woman, you're like, that doesn't help our argument very much. Because the dumbest guy in the world would never have searched for himself for 5 hours in a search party. Like, he'd have been like, oh, no, that was me. I just changed. Like, this is absurd. But so there you go.
That's a pretty crazy story. So the doom and gloom of this, because I don't know if people realize, in 2020, over 600,000 people in America go missing. And some of it's, for trafficking, some of it's other things. Like, it is absurd, the amount of people that go missing in the United States. But another part of that 600,000, it's estimated by the United States government and it's the North American Search Committee. It's estimated that 16,000 people who are hunters or hikers or people that just go into the woods go missing annually. Every year, 16,000 people go missing and are never found in America's wilderness. To me, that is a staggering number. I never would have guessed it was 16,000 people.
No, I wouldn't have either. And it's not, as you clarified, it's not that they go missing and then we go look for them and 8 hours later they come walking out of the woods and say, no, here I am. These are people who are gone.
Yes,
and
never found again. Now, I'm sure a number of those maybe they go into the woods and their goal is to not be found again. And I understand that, and but 16,000 people just never found when they go into the woods in America. That's, I mean, the 600,000 is a story for another day. I've talked with you about the trafficking issues, not only in the world, but in our own country. But 16,000 hunters and hikers and just adventurers and just random people that just go into the woods for a day or whatever, just never found, like never returned. It's a staggering number.
No, it truly is. And I would have never. I mean, when you told me and you're researching this, you're like, I'm going to give you a number and it's going to be way higher than you thought. I would have never thought 16,000.
I told you that's 16 Blossbergs. Like, that'd just be Blossberg disappearing 16 times.
You could have told me that was 600 Blossbergs. How many people live in Blossberg? Like, I'm picturing like 11.
We're in the 4-digit club. 4-digit.
Are
club.
you?
Yeah, we're in the 4-digit club. We were in the 4-digit club. I think we're still in the. Unless I was number 1,000, we still should be in the 4-digit club. Isn't
it seasonal? Like during farm season, don't you bring in a lot of migrant workers? Isn't that how it works?
You're ridiculous.
Did you know this? Did you know the second largest city in the state of Maryland is Ocean City for 3 months out of the year?
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me at all. State College has to have some weird stat like that. It has
probably. Yes.
It has to.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fluctuating 30,000 kids, that move in, move out. There has to be some funky State College stat where that's the case. Just to wrap up, you and we've kind of touched on Billie Eilish and Justin Bieber before in the past. It is amazing how Justin Bieber continues to kind of like dominate the music industry. I know that you were a big fan of the documentary. You and I both believe that he's probably a little more talented than like the average person in central Pennsylvania believes he is. But we're getting to the point now, and it sounds insane. We're getting to the point now where we can start to talk about like his longevity a little bit. Like this isn't a new thing. Like we're like a decade into the Bieber experience.
Well, yeah. I mean, to old people like me who I can name one of his songs, I think. I probably heard more. What's it called? Love Yourself. I know that song. That's a great song. But yeah, there's this, like, there are these child actors, these child stars that the old people hate so much that they go away. And there are a lot of old people my age, and I'm in my 40s, but people my age that if you said, guess who's still on top of the charts, Justin Bieber, they would say there's no way. And he's a very polarizing person. Like, people love him, people hate him. I'll explain what polarizing mean in case you don't know, but he's a polarizing person. But I'm a big fan. Other than I say that, and then I say I don't know any of his songs. But from watching the documentary, he is much more talented. He is much more of a musician. And I tell you where I also became a big fan, watching him play in the celebrity basketball game at an NBA All-Star game when he was like 16 years old. He was the leading scorer and he could play. And now he's out there with like 50-year-old comedians and fat actors and stuff like that. But he was an athlete too. He's dribbling all over the court. He's going to the hoop. And so it's one of those things. I think he became too popular, too young, and all the girls loved him, so all the guys hated him. And it is incredible how he is sustained. And there he is back on top of the charts. And, I salute him. Yeah.
Two thoughts. First, just the stats. He's the first solo male to debut at number 1 on the Hot 100 and the Billboard 200. So basically his single and his album both debuted at number 1. No one, Elvis didn't do it. No solo male performer has ever done it before. The other thing that he did, it's his number 7 number 1 single. And it's also 23 career top 10 hits. So the stats, we're just getting to the point now where the longevity, like you're going to have to start mentioning him with some of these more historical performers and acts. The second thought that I've kind of had on him, he was the first one, and I really believe this, and I think he deserves some credit for it, regardless of what you think about his music, because I've fluctuated on his music and his sound. He was the first person to have to go through, I'm 14, I'm 15, I'm 16, I'm 17. Here's all this social media, and I can see every single criticism. I can see every single thing that someone thinks about me, positively, negatively, and there was no playbook. There was no like, I'll call the guy who went through it before me and I'll ask him like, how did you deal with this? How did you handle this? And one of the fascinating things about the Billie Eilish documentary is you can see he is so nice to her. And I really believe it's because of what he went through. And he didn't have a Justin Bieber to come back and help him and say like, hey, like, this is how you navigate this. It's okay. It's all right. People are going to say things. People are going to, of course, there were people who like could say you're going to have critics. Things aren't always going to go your way, all that. But like the social media aspect of it, the 24/7 news aspect of it, he didn't have someone. He was the first one through the wall. He was the one who got bloody going through that. And he deserves way more credit for that than what he gets. Way more.
That's a very valid point. I'll tell you another thing that I saw from the documentary, that when we see these young stars and we see some people like Miley Cyrus, whose dad was Billy Ray Cyrus, and then we see Jaden Smith, whose dad is Will Smith, and you're like, yeah, no wonder they've got these. You know, this kid his mom was like a 19-year-old single mom from Canada. I mean, they worked it. He was not. Bill Maher had a great line the other day. He was talking about this guy, and he was talking about private schools and how he's like, I came from public school, and he looked at the one guy. He goes, I'll bet you went to a private school. You look like you were born on a tennis court. And the guy goes, well, as a matter of fact, I did go to private school. Like Justin Bieber, there was nothing spoiled about him, and the work. Like this they weren't just like, here, make millions. Like he worked, and he played. Playing on the courthouse steps with the guitar case open and having people throw money in it, and touring around to radio stations and vans, and he was not born with a silver spoon. And so, but your analysis of him having to deal with social media, and not only, as you said, not only is he the first one to do it, he's doing it at 16 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't handle anything at 16 years old.
No. Let
alone a million people around the world telling us they love us, and a million people around the world telling us they hate us. And that is a lot. That is a very, very good point you make.
And with no roadmap. Like there was no like, I'll call the person before me and they'll tell me how to navigate this. There was none of it. I've always thought, and I don't know this, like this is 100% my own opinion. I don't know if you know, him and Ellen were like very tight. And we had just talked about Ellen DeGeneres the other day and how she's lost some viewership and stuff like that. I truly believe part of that relationship is I have to imagine like Ellen breaking down barriers for the gay culture and like having her show and being like I said, that first one through the wall like that. And I have to believe part of their relationship, like part of that tightness that the two of them share, and how she's always defended him, and she had him on the show when he was like in the gutter, like when no one was like really touching him, and he was struggling and he was trying to figure out what was going on in his life, and people were really worried about him. She never abandoned him. And I really believe that was part of it, is like they connected on that idea of like the first one to go through that wall and the first one to have to figure it out, and you didn't have somebody to give you the answers and how to deal with it. I've always found their relationship fascinating.
And this is another thing, and this goes totally off the rails. Mm-hmm. His whole tattoo thing, I always equate it to be like he was this cute little almost boy band star, even though he didn't have a band. And it was his way of saying, like, I'm an adult, I'm a badass, I'm not that cute little innocent kid. Sure. And the person that I always relate that to is JJ Redick. Because JJ Redick was the cute white kid from Duke. I'm from Duke and we're upstanding. And now I'm in the league and I'm in the league with all these black guys and all these tattoos, and I am totally from a different background, other than the fact that I can play and they can play. So my way that I show that I'm not this cute little innocent wholesome boy is I get all these tattoos. And I wonder how much that comes into both of their aspects. And before I throw another point, when you're talking about statistics, I think he has some crazy stat like he's one of 2 acts of all time that had 4 songs in the top 40 at the same time. Okay. And I heard I don't know if that's right. He's got some bizarre stat of how many different songs were in the top 40. I think it was him and the Beatles, but don't quote me on that. But when you're rattling off numbers, he's got some insane numbers.
No, I mean, we are getting to, I mean, it's like 10 years ago, it would have sounded insane. We're getting to the point with the longevity and just the consistency. We're getting to the point where you're going to have to say his name around some names that like, you're going to have to say him around Elvis. You're going to have to say him around Sinatra. Like you're going to have to start saying his name around. And I know that'll drive people nuts. I get it. But like he is to that point almost. Like the numbers and the stats just, they're going to be undeniable here in the next like 3 to 4 years. They are.
And I've said this to people. I know I've said it to you. And see, you're not a hater. You're just neutral. You're so even keeled on everything. But like, I've said this to people, like, watch the documentary. It's called Never Say Never. And like, you will be a fan. You will like, and the people are like, I'm never watching a Justin Bieber documentary. But those are the people that need to watch it. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. You'll have appreciation for his mom, for like the people, the management that are trying to, and him hanging out with his friends. Like he tried his best to be a normal kid while he's doing this. He's coming home on off days and hanging out with his buddies in the playground. And it was, there's a part of the world that wants to not like this kid. And it's hard. You watch this, it's hard not to like him. Oh, I like him.
I believe it. Quick recap. We started off with the Lycoming Bakery. We're going to get more details at NorthcentralPa.com as they're coming in. I know you guys are commenting. A couple of points that they've made, you know, Barb brought up the idea it's going to have a domino effect. And we had mentioned that earlier to many other businesses. And yeah, there's going to be a financial dollar certainly attached to that. It's going to affect local businesses that now more than ever, probably, I don't want to say they can't handle it, but now more than ever, like this, the timing of this could not be worse.
Well, let me jump in here. The fascinating thing about it, and I should have the details. There's a job fair tomorrow. I think the Lycoming County Chamber of Commerce is doing a job fair. So from that aspect, the timing of it, that everyone who works in a restaurant or whatever, if you're looking for a job, and it may not be the career you wanted, but whatever, there are jobs around to be had. So all the people who just got screwed by this in the trickle-down domino effect, there is a job fair. I know it's tomorrow. We're advertising on our site. It is tomorrow, and I don't know where it is.
Yeah. But, so, and there's also, I mean, there is the chance, and a couple people commented, there is the chance like that this isn't finalized. Like there is a chance they open back up. There's always that maybe they find someone to fill positions depending on what the issue was. Another one, and this is something that just like you talk about dominoes and like things you don't think about. Like William said, I do DoorDash, and Melito's Sub Shop is a very busy stop for us. And I had never even thought, like, especially in our area, like we did not really have the DoorDashes and the food deliveries before COVID. Like food deliveries, like if those places shut down, people that have kind of been scraping and getting by the last 12 months by joining services and delivering food, I mean, the dominoes go even deeper than what I had originally thought, you know, reading some of these comments.
Yeah, no, that's true. I hadn't thought that. My first thing was the restaurants and the people that work there. I didn't think about the DoorDash. How many people are going home and breaking out their easy bake ovens and thinking like, let's make some bread?
I mean, if you could do it, now this weekend, now's the opportunity. Someone said Gonzaga all the way. So sorry, Mark, you're in trouble there.
Whatever. They say that every Elite Eight.
This is my favorite comment of the day. Katie Elizabeth says, geez, Mark, looks like Jeff has something to say. So that's hands down comment of the day to Katie Elizabeth. I think she's an automatic wheel spin tomorrow, actually, now that I think about it.
Sometimes I get long-winded.
Again, thank you guys for watching the Midday show on NorthcentralPA.com.
That's why I talk so much, because he says Midday.
Midday.
Ask my kids how long-winded I get. At least we limit it here.
I don't want to ask them. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show at NorthcentralPa.com. Again, in order to have a chance to win Monday through Friday, join the Midday Show Facebook group. As we move forward throughout the year, we'll keep you posted on different ways to win and different opportunities to have your name drawn for the prize wheel coming up. Thank you guys for staying tuned with us. One last comment. My hubby just said, let's go get baking. So they're on board with you, Mark. They're ready to go. They're ready.
I'm not saying anything anymore. Katie Elizabeth told me to shut up, so I'm gonna shut up.
And I'm with Nicola. I'm Bieber fever. I'm not saying I love the music. I haven't always loved it, but you can't deny it at this point. Like the consistency is going to be hard. Put him up there with Elvis. Put him up there with not Sinatra. I'm too big of a Sinatra fan to put him up there with Sinatra, but it's going to be hard to keep him away.
I will tell one more story, whether Katie Elizabeth likes it or not. I was driving my son to school. My son used to always listen. He was in elementary school. Now he's in 8th grade. And he always listened to 97.7. And I remember the first time I heard Love Yourself, and I'm listening to it, and it kind of like kicks in and I was like, this is the greatest song I've ever heard. I will remember driving up Spruce Street somewhere between like Cypress and Allen. And I was like, this is how did no one think of this song before this? It's the greatest song ever.
Oh my gosh.
You know the song, right?
Yeah, I know the song. I'm trying to wrap my head around you listening to it and saying it's the best song ever.
It is lyrically perfect. My mom likes everyone and she doesn't like you, or whatever that's what he says that. It is go love yourself.
Listen, it's a great song. It's a
great song.
It's a great campfire song. To sit and say that it is the masterpiece of humanity when it comes to music is that's where we're at, according to you.
It's close. That not only is that the masterpiece of human music, remember that one of the great days in American history is when Hulk slammed Andre. It's right up there with the lunar landing.
And we have I think I know who this is, this Facebook user. I bet Bieber bought them Satan shoes, which actually I think you and I want to talk about tomorrow. I think we want to open up with the little Nas X video and the Satan shoes and Nike.
We do. And I'll bet he's right. And if he didn't get an original, he's got them now.
All right. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. We'll see you all tomorrow. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thanks for joining us at NorthcentralPA.com.
And I'll talk less tomorrow, promise.